www.fullblastradio.com. You are watching the F.A.C.T Project, and F.A.C.T is an acronym that stands for Fundamental African-Centered Thought. The goal here on the F.A.C.T Project is to convey some facts and some information to members of our community. We have with us today a newspaper publisher, Brother David Murphy. Peace, Brother David. Thank you for joining us today. Oh, Brother David, I can't hear you. Are you on mute? We're getting Brother David is getting his computer together. I believe he may be on mute because we can't hear him just yet. Either way, always be mindful of checking out all of the programming here on Full Blast Radio with the one and only DJ Tiger. Salute to him. And for all of those interested in the F.A.C.T book, okay, I think I hear Brother David now.
Yes, can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you now, brother. Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes, thank you for joining us today, brother.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so you are the publisher of the National Black Unity News, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so what is the National Black Unity News?
Well, first and foremost, it's a newspaper, but not in the traditional sense of a newspaper. What we have here is what we call a collaboration of like-minded people who have come together to support Black melanated people. Now, we don't put down any group or race of people, but we uplift our own. And what's so unique about this publication, first, I like to tell people, straight up about it, come from divine inspiration. And I've been out here for a long time promoting, over 40-something years, promoting us. And the unique thing about this publication is solution-oriented. Yeah, you can get negative news here, there, and everywhere, pretty much. But since our inception in 2017, we have grown to be, if not the largest Black newspaper in the nation and maybe in the world, because we have a host of people. I say this is collaboration, and the way it works is I'm one person. In my database alone is over 262,000. My online presence over 5 million. And we have 50 to 60 more people who have their networks and databases attached to their own marketing apparatus. And so that's what makes us so unique, and we're self-sufficient. We do not depend on any outside resources to sustain us. And we are not kept by anyone. I hope you understand what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So you sell an ad space. How does that work?
Well, we do sell ad space, but we don't depend on it.
Okay.
Because each one of, we call them editors, each one of the people that writes in this publication pays for their own page.
Interesting. Okay.
And this is the collaboration, so that way we make sure that we be self-sufficient, that, we sustain our own. Yes, we do advertising, but that's not our main focus. We are what you call mission-driven rather than money-driven.
Okay, now you said that you are publishing a newspaper for our people, which is understandable because different newspapers and magazines target, and they have a market, and they have different audiences that they target. Why do you think it was necessary to start the National Black Unity News?
Well, first and foremost, doing my research, it could be something different. We own less than, and that's just when I say just not newspaper. I'm talking about television, podcasts. You lump us all together. Anything dealt with media. In the United States, we own less than 1% of the media. That's a very small voice. And the media that we do have, most of it has been bought with a price. So therefore, they can't say anything. It's extremely important that we have a voice that is by us and for us.
Absolutely. I know most of what we see in the media is owned by 6 white-owned corporations. And the question becomes, how do we turn that around? I mean, I think what you're doing is a good example of what we should do in response to that. But how should we respond to the idea that most of what we see is being presented to us by 6 white-owned corporations?
Well, in the same mode that how they have taken over, gotten rid of true journalists, people that really report on news. Well, in our case, this is what I can't speak for anybody else, but we have reached out to other media resources and asked them to. We are willing to work with you, support you, because we know how vital you are. I'm talking other black media, but for some reasons, sometimes in traditional marketing promotion, people get territorial, and then me, myself, and I type of attitude, and they don't see the strength and unity. And that's one of the goals. Not only are we talking about, we are being about it. See, and that's the way our whole format is set up. That you can see we are all inclusive. We have people from all over the world writes in this publication now.
Okay, that's interesting. And what are some of the features in the newspaper?
Well, that's another unique thing in there. For instance, we have people from young as 11 years old all the way up to 94. And they write about the interest that's on their heart. Most people, like I said, we have an accountant in there. He usually talk about money matters. And what he also talks about is not all about him receiving. We make sure that everybody give. So if he's an accountant, he share information, some of the do's and don'ts in accounting. He educate us. Why, what for, how come, the things you should do and things you should watch out for. And we do that across the board. And so it's not all, like I said, it's all about me, myself, and I. Yes, it's, what you put out there, we think it's reciprocal. When you give, you shall receive. So the type of information that you get in this publication that's so unique is good for yesterday, today, as well as tomorrow.
Now, you jumped ahead of me because you mentioned a section on economics. What does that entail exactly? Is that investment news? What is the section on economics?
It's not a section. We have individual writers that's their field that they're in. And we have people from the insurance industry. We have, accountants. We have people that teach on money matters, and that's their profession. And so it's not a section, but they do talk about those different issues, some of the dues. We have people that's heavy in the tax area. And so they tell you, some of the write-offs and some of the things you do, but it depends on the individual collaborator, what he wants to talk about, as long as he share information that's going to uplift us.
Okay, now how
oriented.
Understood. How often is the newspaper published? Is it a quarterly? Is it a weekly?
Well, our publication is a quarterly publication, 4 times a year. Yes.
And this is a paper publication.
Say that again, sir.
This is a paper publication.
Yes, it is. If you can see it on, I don't know if you can see it on. Yes, but this is a physical publication that it is online as well.
Okay, and I hear people talk about the appearance of the newspaper, how good it looks. What can you tell us about the appearance of the newspaper?
Well, I don't, that's everybody has an opinion, but our publication is quality. When I say quality, we use the highest grade newsprint, and it's in color from cover to cover. This last issue is over 72 pages in here.
Okay.
And it's a very expensive newspaper to print, but at the same time, this is not the type of publication you're going to wrap fish or anything else up with. This is the keepsake, because like I say, the information you get here is timeless. You can use this thing tomorrow, and the information here will still be relevant.
Okay, you mentioned economics. Is there writers that write about politics and what's going on with the whole political landscape?
Not too much. We have people that say things in general, like myself, but we really stay away from that, the political sides of things. As I said, we're solution oriented, and when it comes to politics, I know they're supposed to do this and supposed to do that, but we don't have too many partners. Now, we have a couple of people in this last issue who's running for office, but as far as that goes, that's their opinion about this and about that. But we usually stay away from political issues and things like that. We have people who may write something pertaining to that, but other than that.
Okay, do you write on cultural issues that are relevant to our people?
Well, I do. That's my whole thing. I write about, we Black melanated people. I always speak about unity, how we need to come together, work together, support one another. I even provide solutions to some of our issues. I even some may say cast the first stone. See, it's one, like I mentioned before, that we are mission driven. And when we see people like yourself, yeah, you reached out to me, and I greatly appreciate that. But that's exactly what we do. We reach out. We don't wait for people to come to us. We go out there and we find that you're doing something that can uplift our people. Then we like to talk to you. We like to sit down and see how we can support one another. Now, I'm not only a publisher. I've been around for 40 something years in this industry. I also build websites. I do professional commercials, affordable yet effective type of commercials. And we do podcasting. We have a podcasting website. So we do quite a bit that's related to marketing. And so when you deal with David Murphy, you get the whole package. You get my many years of experience, and we kind of pour it out on you because I have a theory. Your success is my success.
I like that. Individual success is not true success for us. You mentioned website. What is the website for the National Black Unity News?
Yes, it's T, like in Tom, N, Nancy, B, Buddy, Bright, or under Nancy, tnbun.com. tnbun.com.
Okay, tnbun.com. I'm putting that in the chat right now. We're gonna see if we can send people to the website. If people wanted to get a hold of you because they were interested in doing writing for the publication or doing photography or what have you, what is the contact information for that?
Well, you can call me at 443-455-2373.
Okay, say that again.
443-455-2373.
Okay, so 443-455-2373.
Correct.
That's for writers. That's for people that want to maybe.
Well, let me kind of stop you there. We don't even look for writers because the people who takes out a page, they write articles, and if they want to put pictures or something like that, we do that. Like I said, we are not traditional newspaper. We go on the scene to be shooting and writing about this, writing about that. If you would like to be a participant, we call this editor. If you'd like to have a page, if you have a business or a service that can uplift our people, and you have the heart to give and share. It's not all about just making money. You willing to share, then we would like to talk to you. We can provide you with a page in the National Black Unity News so you can educate us about who you are, what you do, and why you do it. And in reciprocal, usually when you write art, there's enough space left over. You can promote your businesses and services. Now, even on top of that, another unique thing about the National Black Unity News, you can also make money with us. You can even take a portion of your page, put 2 or 3 business cards on there, and make money off your page to sponsor your page.
Oh, nice! I like this.
It's unique in so many different ways. But one thing I would like to add, I mentioned that I've been around over 40 years publishing newspapers, but I also been very active in activity for the Black community. And I've sit down with many groups and organizations over the years. And you probably know, brother, that back in the day it was very difficult to get our organization to work with one another. If they wasn't the head person in charge sometimes, or they had different ideologies about this and about that. There's few small things that separated kept us apart, rather than the 90% of the things that we was all unified about. But one thing about the National Black Unity News, like I said, I've been around for a long time, and for the first time in my life, I actually see a sense of unity. Because the people that writes in this public support this publication, I never seen so much love with these people. Not only that, they have the heart to give, the heart to share. They want to see unity. They want to help one another. And most importantly, they do support one another.
That's good. I mean, I think we're going to see a percentage of people come together. Do you think it's going to be a large majority, or you think it's going to be a small percent still?
Well, I think it's going to be large because this is what's taking place from where I sit. People all over the world now. We now know that we can't do this by ourselves. It took us a long time to learn this lesson, but I think it finally, coming home now. And I
Now,
do see people all over the place, organizations, businesses are networking with one another, supporting one another, and not just here, all over the world. I see it throughout the diaspora. It's happening. And just now we
yeah,
just have to connect the dots a little bit more, and it's coming.
okay. I like the optimism. I'm with you. You mentioned activism. You've been involved in a lot of activism and a lot of activities for the past 40 years. Give us an example. What are some of the activism and activities you've been involved with?
Well, David Murphy has never been one of those people that's out front. I'm always behind. I like to be behind the scene. I don't even like to be seen, to be quite frank with you. But whatever took place, I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, born and raised. And over the years, we fought on many issues, so many issues. And I pretty much was on the front line with all of them when it comes to the uplifting of our people. And I did that through media. And one of my other fortes is this. Now, I consider myself a servant of service. I serve people who serve people. But one of my best qualities are networking. I know how to put people together to get things done. This organization with that organization, this individual with that individual. We sit down, and because they have a lot of, sometimes they don't know one another, but, I had that rare quality to get to know a lot of people. And then I see what people can fit with each other and how they can collaborate with one another. And it happens.
You mentioned that you're from Maryland. You're out of the state of Maryland. You had a major news story coming out of Maryland that went across the country about the collapse of the bridge. Was that covered in the National Black Unity News?
No, it was not.
Okay. And is there a reason for that?
Well, that bridge is, like I say, that they get enough coverage from local, state, and national. And that's to us. It's the collapse of the bridge is not solution oriented. That it needs to be fixed and this that. But one thing, what I can say one thing about that bridge. See, a lot of people through media have been painted a terrible picture about Baltimore. See, they show old shows like The Wire and the Corner and things like that, and people have a vivid. That's what media marketing does. It gives you a vivid description of what you think something is like. And so and we murder capital and this, that, and all that's what they show through media, mass media. But when the bridge collapsed, all of a sudden, it's a captain of industry now. This port does this, this port does that. It's so important now. Out of Baltimore. But you never heard, you see people, I didn't know that. Of course you don't. Because that propaganda tool been going on for so long that, they paint a picture. Let me give you an example. Now, I know you heard of Bill Cosby, Oprah Winfrey, Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson, and all of them, even Clarence Thomas. Through media, they all have been slandered through the media. Can you imagine you being in your little secluded area and you're not black? And this is what you've been hearing over the years about this person. No matter how well they sing, they dance, how well they play sports, how educated they ain't none of them no good based on media. And that's what I'm in media. And I know how powerful it is. It does sway people. I have the power myself. You just take out anybody and just say, I heard through a reliable source that this person did this and this person, that person may come after me. But I can almost guarantee you a large majority of people will believe it. Some of the closest people to you will believe it.
Okay, so in that context, I'm going to assume in the Black Unity News, the National Black Unity News, that the depiction of people of African heritage is a positive one. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Let me explain. I don't, like I say, I don't, even when people pick this public or even see it online, on the front cover, there's always over 14 black faces on there. That's just the cover. Last issue got about 30-something, 40-something black people on the cover. And about 50, 60 on the inside. And all of these people are talking about uplifting, working together, supporting one another. That's unique news within itself. People, who got shot, who did this and who did. No, when they get this public, it's a unique difference. They never see, and they actually see unity. us, we doing these things together.
So you see it's important to portray that positive image of us because
Yes, I
we don't
do.
know. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because everybody else pretty much. I'm in Baltimore. We have a couple of black newspapers. They cover that kind. Who did this in political and who got shot, who doing this to whom. You get that anywhere, but you don't find too many people that have solutions to some of these issues.
I like that. The solution-based thinking. Newspapers, for the most part, make a lot of the bulk of their money from subscriptions. Can people subscribe to the National Black Unity News?
Oh, yes, they can. They can go back to that same website, tnbun.com, and right on the front page, you can scroll there. You can subscribe right there. It's
And now,
affordable.
continue.
No, I just said it's very affordable. It's only $18.50 a year.
Oh, nice. Okay. And a lot of people talk about the importance of subscribing to a newspaper as opposed to kind of buying it hand over fist every time it comes out. Can you explain to us the importance of subscribing to the newspaper?
Well, first of all, it's convenient. It comes straight to your home or your office, for one thing. You don't have to, it shows up at your front door. And the second thing is, too, it helps with the circulation of the publication. And subscription based far as on the inside, it's more like a database for us to see that how many people are not only interested in the publication and support the publication. Now, one thing I keep saying, we're so unique in so many different ways. We don't have a very large subscription base. Like I said, we're self-supporting just because everybody take care of their own page. But online, you can get this publication free online right now. You can. It's actually, you can go right to the publication. You don't have to subscribe. Most people just go right online and read the publication. You can go to our archives in our website and read every publication since our inception.
Okay.
And so we like to keep things open because, like I say, we're more mission-driven than money-driven.
I like that. Now, a lot of, I can't say a lot, but there's some of our big like magazines, but magazines was a big thing. Some of our black like magazines, some of them are gone. So Jet Magazine is gone. You still have a few others like Essence Magazine has been sold to people that don't look like us. What is your opinion on that? Like you create this entity that was black owned and then it eventually gets sold. What is your perspective on it?
Well, of course, like we still have over 200 black newspapers still in existence. And a lot of them are institutions, like here in Baltimore. We have a publication called The Afro, over 130 years old. And but see, those publishers, those grandfathers back in there, they were mission-driven people. They were down for the cause. That's why they started these publications. They were risk takers. They were soldiers, as we call them. But then they had been handed down to their children and then to their children's children. And they don't have that same passion, for the cause, for the mission. And some of them, continue to keep it on just for the money. And then, like I said, if they can sell it, that's what they do. And that they can be brought out, because most of them have been. They got a few major, most of our black newspapers, I hate to say it, but it's the truth. Most of our black newspapers have 3 or 4 major advertisers, corporate America. And they bet not open their mouth about this or that. Because fear of losing them to support. And another thing is, too, unfortunately, they try to simulate other publications as far as price rates are concerned. And unfortunately, majority of them outprice their own community. The average black person cannot afford to advertise in the average black newspaper.
You mentioned you mentioned other black newspapers. It seems like it's very difficult for us to get like a national daily newspaper off the ground. Why is that?
Oh, there's many reasons for that. First of all, you probably already know this. One of the first things when you conquer or colonize the people, the first thing they do is cut off communication. And that's why it's been so difficult for black media to sustain themselves. There have been many attempts to try to do something national or by major networks and things like that, but disaster happened to those individuals. And so strategically, you have to do things. There's a lot of opposition because, of course, people do not want us to really communicate with one another. And I hate to say this, but it's the truth. See, everyone knows but us. I'm gonna put it like this: why do you think people come from all over the world and set up shop in our neighborhoods, and then they make a fortune and build their own communities? And see, everybody see how important. And people say we are consumers, but if they could do that with what some might say the least of us, and then from they have systems. There's so many systems in place to keep us from it. They call them road scholars. They follow us from children all the way up. Put them in their camp, train them to think like they think. And then so they have all. And then if you little relevant, then they have another camp. You end up in the prison if you're too bold. And so there's a lot of people seen and unseen things that will try to prevent us from doing these national things. There have been many attempts, but I'm gonna tell you this. The National Black Unity Newsroom, in our inception, we said that when we reach 72 pages, we're going to shut it down because nobody really want to walk around with 100-page newspaper anymore these days. But so we did reach that. And so now there will be a Virginia Black Unity News, a Texas Black Unity News, a South Carolina Black Unity News, and we're coming to a state near you. Now, you talking about true power, media. That's a powerful thing to have that many publishers. And I'm going to tell you why it's so unique. And because normally people have a tendency to take down the head and then everything else fall apart. But when you duplicate yourself or your organization or your people, then it's hard to do that, difficult to do that.
Yeah, Charles Barron here out of New York, he was an elected official. He said good leaders don't look for followers. They look to create more leaders.
That's right.
And so that's the same concept you're talking about. Now, Brother David, here's the next question. I'm not going to spin away from talking about the newspaper, but it's relevant. We live now in the age of developed technology. Everything is videos. People don't read books like they used to, and people don't read newspapers like they used to. Everyone has a phone up to their face watching videos all day. Is all of the technology good, or do you see some of this as a step backwards?
Well, I love it myself. I've been, I'm one of those people that probably had one of the first black people had in Baltimore, and he had a computer. I kept up when, before the mouse came out, I was on, doing computers. And back in my time, I used to cut and paste and had to run places to put the paper together. The technology now I consider, this new tech, what it's not too, artificial, that's been around, all that stuff been out there, but they just letting you know about it. But I love the technology, and that's why we're online. And that's why we do create commercials and things like that. We educate people about who we are, what we do, and why we do it. Our commercials are about newspaper, the relevance of newspaper. Let me say this about newspapers. The news that we get today, I ain't talking about just black news, I'm talking about any newspaper. Do you know any media source? If you go to the CNN and all of the ABCs and everybody else, when you hear when they hear talking about this happened there, and the source came from a newspaper. They are so relevant, just that the papers don't sell the way they do, but the information base, that's where it basically come from. Reporters from newspaper, and then they just put it up to other resources. Mm. And unfortunately for most newspapers, by the time you put it in print, it's old news. But one thing, that's why I say that's what makes us so unique, because first of all, we have a target market, us, we black melanated people. And the second thing is the information we put in our part. Like I said, the information we put in there is good for yesterday, today, as well as tomorrow. So we always relevant, as to, so we are not, what we put in our paper is still good.
So I could get a newspaper from last year and I could still read something that's relevant right now.
That's right. Exactly.
Understood. Okay, now we talked about the depiction of the way black people are depicted in the media. There's been a lot said recently about the animated reboot of Good Times. What is your opinion on that?
But I don't follow that too much. But I've seen the commercial. I've seen people comment on it, but I don't really have that much of opinion because I come to learn they gonna do what they do, and they gonna depict us the way they want to depict us. See, my thing is that we have to learn, and we must tell our own stories. We must do it the way we think it do. And everybody don't think the same way. Everybody have opinion about that. But we focus more on what other people are doing sometimes instead of focusing on what we need to do for our own survival. Now I can say, let me just say this, if you don't mind. About 8 years ago, I was approached by a group of agents, and they invited me to this agent organization. And this wasn't just like Korean. This was agents. All I'm talking about Vietnamese, Koreans, and all of them lumped together. And they approached me because I cut my teeth with a black directory discount rate. That's how I got started in business. And they approached me, wanting me to put together a national black directory. And of course, my antennas goes up and I listen to them. Then I asked that question, why do you want to put together a black directory? One of the agents finally stood up and says, well, sir, he said, first and foremost, he said, you black people, and when it comes to ethnic groups and people, that y'all are the most together people in the entire world. He said, the only thing is y'all just don't know it. He said, we Koreans, we don't get along with the Japanese. He said, Chinese don't get along with the other people. They get kind of pissed when you mention you think, kind of lump them together. And that's the same thing with the Hispanic community. They don't want to be identified with these people or those people. But he said, you black people are the only people, and not only that, but we stand on your shoulders. The benefits we got today, what we're getting today, came from you. He said, y'all have all the power. Y'all just don't know it.
So do you think, because my thinking, when I hear something like that, if Asian people are coming to us trying to market to us, it's because they see us as a consumer class, as opposed to people that produce. They see us as people that just spend money. If David Murphy said, hey, I'm going to start a directory for Asian businesses, I don't believe they will support you. So do you really believe what they said?
See, that's the point. Was what they wanted the black directory for was this. Because if they could get somebody to put together a black directory together, just maybe they can do that for themselves as well. Because like I say, they don't even communicate with one another. They have the very difficult time they want to do all of these things. They want to connect because they, are quite afraid they don't face some of the same issues we do in this country. And so everybody understand that, we don't focus on some of their issues, but, they deal with a lot of the same things too. But like you just said, we are the consumers. And everybody, this is how much power we have, and they know this. And throughout history, I don't know, we used to call them dynasties, the Roman Empire, the Syrian Empire, they conquered everything around them. Only way these dynasties fell was from within. And people know if we, us, ever wake up, we can do simple little things. Just stop spending for a little while. The whole economic system will collapse. See, and they know this. That's why it's so important why they do the things they do to us. They understand it, just that we're not aware of. Not too many of us are.
That's true. I hear, when America they begin to get at odds with, let's say, the Arabs or the Saudis, the first thing they do is threaten to pull their money out of U.S. banks. They know if they did that, the stock market would crash in a matter of days. So in that context, if people of African heritage in America said, hey, you know what, we're tired of the police brutality, the gentrification, and so forth, we're going to pull all of our money out of the bank and collapse the economy, we could actually do that.
Mm-hmm. And that's why again, people are placed in our organizations to make sure that don't happen, that we don't come together and think like that on a collective basis. Because, like I say, it's to their survival that this cannot happen. And so that's what, so, but again, when we are aware of who we are, they say things like this to us. Here in the United, we spend 1.4 trillion, 1.5 trillion. In reality, it's 5 or 6 times greater than that. They don't want you to know your power, your strength. They know that's about to the 8th, 9th largest country in the world. People see these guys, they know all of this stuff, and they do know how powerful your thinking is. We survived. And that's why it's a concerted effort to get our brightest. You'll put you in jail or you work in their camp. One of the two.
So they're making a concerted effort against us, in other words.
Yeah, to keep us from coming to our full potential, put it that way.
Yeah, they don't want to wake the sleeping giant. Is it safe to say
right. that? Hip a lane to the game.
That's right. Brother David, you familiar with Ray Winbush? He teaches out of Morgan State University.
Yes, I'm familiar with him. Yes.
Okay. He teaches out of Morgan State, and he's saying that he's noticing a lot of his students from 17 years old, 18 years old, 19 years old, 20 years old, a lot of them believe that Black people did not originate in Africa. Many of them believe the earth is flat. Many of them believe that science is not a fact. These are all talking points that are coming from the internet for the most part. And it's propaganda. Let's face it, Brother David, propaganda works, which is why they use it against us.
Of course.
But why us? I don't see them going that hard to separate any other group of people from their identity. They don't go that hard against, Chinese people or East Indian people or Arab Muslim people. Why is it they go so hard against us to try to divide us from our identity and divide the group?
Well, most cultures also know, if they are historians, I'm not, but most people know where civilization comes from. They know the story. They had the history. And like I said, everybody knows our might but us. And like you say, you don't hit nobody to who you really are, especially if you capitalizing off of them. And so, again, they had this thing, I forgot what they call it, every year. They call it a summit or some type. And they usually have 2 main issues: the environment and overpopulation. Most of the time they choose overpopulation. And if any people that overpopulate is we, Black, melanated, no matter how much they had done to us. They bombard us from all angles, but we still produce. If you, they done a good job because we have not grown. We just have, they stopped it. But, just like a lot of people, I would just say think tanks. And a lot of people do things because not just for the day, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years for now. And it unfortunately, people realize that when, and it's happening, and they know it's happening, that we are waking up. We are networking. And that's why they're going so hard now. In spite of everything else, the propaganda, the miseducation, because we have people like you. You mentioned so many people that it is now understand. And you're doing something. So I just met you, but you're a powerful brother. What you're doing right now is a powerful thing. And see, most people, I do realize this though. When you put on a podcast like this, and people may never even say anything to you, just never say, but they listen to you. See, words do not come back void. They land somewhere on somebody. and just listening to your podcast on a weekly or just 1 or 2 times, you enlighten them. You expand their territory, their mindset. And then, when you and see, I know brothers like you bringing out truths, and you providing solutions, you connecting the dots. And so now, and for the first time in a long time, we finally getting information about, even though it's less than 1%, but we got some sources out here that's bringing out some information that it can't come from anywhere but us. And it's not harmful, it's uplifting, it's enlightening, and it's educating. And this is what our young people want. This is what they need too. But it's just not too many of us out there. That's why it's so important. Those of us who are in media to embrace other medias. And like I love my black newspapers, but I would love to sit them down. I understand survival mode. I understand that. But sometimes you have to stand on principles. And a lot of them, so like I say, a lot of them because they don't have the interest. But for those of us out there, we must do everything we can to support one another. Because if they push our voices, we have nothing left.
You mentioned a black think tank. How important is that? Because I don't really believe we have too many black think tanks. I think that's a great idea. How important is that, do you think?
Well, there's a lot of people that say coming together, but we are getting ready. We are. When I say we are, I'm associated with quite a few people. We are coming together, and we have a thing that will be coming up very shortly, and it's like the spokes in a wheel. And it had many spokes to it, and with our cultural community, it can be one spoke. Our legal service, one, media is another spoke. And at the center of this thing is that you can join this group with your organization, your media, and this way, first and foremost, we can identify one another. At least know who you are and where you are. This is the type things, and I ain't gonna speak too much on it right now because it'll be coming out soon. But you will be enlightened about it. But these are the type things that is happening. And it doesn't take away from who you are, your identity, or anything like that. It's just letting the rest of us know who you are, where you are, and you get an opportunity to explain to the rest of the people who you are and what you do and why you do it. But again, this spoke is going. It's starting here all over the country, but it's going to go out throughout the diaspora real soon. And so there's a lot of people that been crying out, we need unity. We need to come together. People have been crying out for a long time for this. Now I think we do have, like I say, I see so many solutions now. I guess because we've been doing this solution-oriented newspaper, and I think that way now. I don't think, we all know the problems, but how do we solve them? And see, it's way more at stake than me. I've been around for some time now, but I got great-grandchildren. And seeing what's going on today, if you, I, and the rest of them do not take a stand today and try to build at least a solid foundation, at least tell our stories. And that's what I love. And I did mention also do documentaries because, you also know it's so important. See, we tell people stories now. My father, my grandfather, I met both of them. I lived with my father for 11 years before he left. But I had no clue of who they are. What they stood for, what they was about. My children, they know who I am. I got documents all about me, why, what for, how come. They're going to understand who great-great-granddad is and why he did the things that he did, what I stood for. And I'm encouraging many to do that, even if you don't have to just get in front of your camera and tell your story. Jot it down. You don't have to spend a whole lot of money. Just sit up there and why I felt this way. It's important.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. You talk about the forthcoming unity, and I like that. I'm noticing, though, a lot of people of African heritage, we're into a lot of different cultures. Some people are Black Christian, and there's different denominations of that. Some people are Black Muslims. Some people are Pan-African, Black nationalists. Some people say they're Moors. there's all these different identities. And so the question becomes, how do we begin to reach across ideologies and disciplines to begin to work with each other? How do we put all of the cultural differences aside and just come together as one group?
Well, that's the whole point of that will. See, like I say, no matter religion, whatever you want to call it, faith-based, if you come in there and say, I'm this and this, that's who you are. I ain't gonna argue with you about who you are. I mean, that's what you believe, that's your thing. So, that's cool. As long as I do know one thing though, if you down for the cause trying to uplift us, then that's a brownie point for me. But then, again, I know brothers even in the paper, Muslim, Christians, we had different people with different faiths in there. I know that, I know respect of a person, that's what you believe. Because I believe a certain way. And I hope people respect what I believe. If they don't, I'm still gonna believe what I believe. So again, we shouldn't let that the few things that separate us keep us apart.
That's key. That's key. Now, there's a lot of churches in our community, and there's a lot of other organizations. Can organizations and churches, can they buy the newspaper in bulk?
Yes, they can.
Okay.
Yes, they can. Yes.
And then get all that information if they go on the website, tnbun.com. Am I saying that right?
That's right. Yes.
Okay. Now, you mentioned the concept of self-sufficiency, and I wrote a book, and this is the central theme of the book. Is the National Black Unity News being printed by a Black printer?
No.
Okay.
Now, let me say this about that. I'm a printer by trade. That's how I started out, with trades, printing school and everything. My very first newspaper came back and was in 79. Very first newspaper. I searched all up and down the entire East Coast, could not find a Black printer that could print.
Wow.
Newspapers come on a thing called newsprint. They're not like books or anything. They come in these big rolls.
Yes.
And there was one Black printer that had a web press. It's called web presses. They had one that was right in my own hometown called the Afro. And that was a real old press, but they still could print their newspapers off of it. During that time, we had owned a lot of supermarkets. During that, I mean, we had all this company could have survived off other people, promote, but they would not take outside work. They wouldn't do it. And next thing you know, they ended up sending their paper out now. And like I said, and I even tried to unify Black, this one we had a lot of mom and pop print shops before the computer, before we had these computers that come out with your little printers and stuff. Everybody had to go to a printer to get flyers and stuff done, business cards. And I come from that area because I had my own print shop one time. We tried to organize the Black printers in Baltimore so we can pull our resources to get a web press. I mean, it was lucrative. And I believe at that time, the Nation of Islam was sending theirs out to you. I mean, that's how bad, and I'm going to say this too. See, there's a lot of things still closed off to us, like the paper industry. We're not, you may have there's only very few of them have outlets, what you call supply stores. Very few of us that has that. But that paper industry, we shut out, period.
Yeah, that's very deliberate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's a call to anyone watching this. If you know a Black printer that can print a newspaper,
big business, man. I'll be the first one in line.
You need to reach out to the National Black Unity News because they need to find a Black printer. So then we can be Black from top to bottom. That's the goal. So if anybody knows somebody, definitely reach out to the Black Unity News. Now, Brother David, you are part of the established media. And I think there's a concept that many of us are not familiar with, and it's this idea of media literacy. I want to read this into the record, and I want to get your response. Media literacy is defined as the ability to critically analyze stories presented in the mass media and to determine their accuracy and credibility. Now, there are a few words there that I want to hone in on. The first word is critically. The ability to critically analyze. Critical thinking, I feel like, is not there the way it should be. And a lot of people don't know how to assess the accuracy and the credibility of stories that they hear in the news. It could be mainstream media, it could be the internet. How do we course correct, Brother David? How do we remedy that?
Well, I'm going to just say this. Unfortunately, in the last 25 years, corporations have brought out media. and now they are using it as a propaganda tool. First thing they did was got rid of true journalists, people who report things like you said, critical, just the way they saw it. They got both sides of the story. All of them did. That's the first people they got rid of. I'm talking about not black, I'm talking about other media. That's what major. And so now, because this state of confusion, not only in print media, but on the internet and everything else, everybody has opinion about this, that those days are gone. I believe those days are gone where you can get true report. That's why when I said earlier, if you can find somebody like the National Black Unity News, which are very rare, we are extremely rare. First of all, just to be self-sufficient. The second thing is that we're not going to allow David Murphy, and we're not going to be brought or kept by anyone. The third thing is that we are mission-driven, not money-driven. Mm-hmm. So you ain't going to buy us with no price. And so, like I say, this comes from divine inspiration. So this is it's ministry, whatever you want to call it, But the thing is, there's a lot of people doing podcasts and other service, writing books, and things that you have to be as an individual is to search, to seek out the truth for yourself, because you will be, all this stuff out here, it's easy to be misled, misguided, the misinformation, and it's just so crazy these days. You just have so many things up against. But again, there is hope, because as I said before, it won't be long where you can find a media service that's by us and for us. And it's coming soon to a state near you. I'm just going to leave it like that.
Brother David, a lot of us fall for the disinformation. Why is that so easy for us to fall for this disinformation that's being spread?
Oh, we like to be, first of all, we like to be entertained. The second thing is that, it's hard to find the truth. So many people have so many versions that they say this thing is true. And not just from us, I'm talking about all the resources. There's so many stuff out there. And now, they say this internet thing, how corporations, government, churches, everything else is playing in this. Everybody bringing up what they consider their truth, their way of thinking. And it's all about, persuading you to think this way or that way. It's difficult. It's extremely difficult to find information that could be collaborated. One time back in the day, you could go ahead and this source and that source and that source, but today you really have to dig deep, and you're still not sure. And so, I wish people, good luck. But there's one thing about men, or just people in general. There's something that is in us naturally. When you say you can do good or evil, right or wrong, you can almost say just by your own natural instincts sometimes can lead you to your own truth sometimes. Sometimes you can be easily misled, but sometimes that thing within you, each individual, when you hear something, sometimes it will resonate. But if you do your own research and you dig a little deeper, you might end up in a confused state of mind because there's so much information. But there's one thing, whatever you're seeking for, whatever you're looking for, usually if you dig deep enough, you'll find it. But you have to, whatever it is, you have to be committed to that thought, and don't, just keep an open mind. Just don't be easily swayed, because this is what a lot of young people, that's why they believe the world is flat and everything else. Because it's coming from the school system. It's coming from our churches, my way or no way. This is the way we say it, and that's the way it is. And this is what we are being bombarded with. Even on television these days, I've never seen that like 90% of their income is coming from pharmaceutical companies. Telling you to tell your doctor to take this drug.
Telling you to tell a doctor to give you the drug, right?
Yeah, and they doing it too.
Yeah, that's bad. So, Brother David, I like your revolutionary spirit. Do you see a black newspaper like the Black National Black Unity News? Do you see that as an active resistance against the system and against the disinformation?
It's not against anything, really. The only thing we are for our people, for uplifting of our people. You know, we don't put that, like I said, we don't put that in any group of race of people. You know, we believe in the people that's involved, especially myself. I believe in you. I believe that we melanated people, you know, we have been dealt a bad blow in this world, and our fathers, our grandfathers, and if we dig deep enough, we know we the captain of industries, you know, intelligence and everything else, and um, and I do believe that, you know, I believe that when people like yourself and a David Murphy and another brother sister come together, and we create this type of what we call synergy, and we demonstrate. And I'm gonna tell you this, you know, since we started this, but I get calls from all over the world, all over the places I didn't even know this paper can get to, and people saying, you know, that they don't say they like the paper, they say they love it, because first of all, they see them inside of it, on the front cover and all the way through. They don't see no negative stuff. They see hope, inspiration. They see people, they can feel the writing, you know, because the people care. And all I know is this: my mission is to uplift us, and like I say, and build a better future for our people, and most importantly, share information with one another.
Absolutely. Now, Brother David, we are at the end of our hour. I want you to give the website again, give contact information for people that might want to buy the newspaper, subscribe to the newspaper, write for the newspaper. Give us all the information you can about how people can reach out to you.
Okay, first, again, you can go to our website. That is the National Black Unity News, and it's tnbun.com. tnbun.com. Or you can call me personally, and I'm easily access to. You know, I don't have 10 secretaries who want to talk to you before you get to me. It's 443-455-2373. Again, 443-455-2373. We have several websites that we do podcasting, we do like I say, commercials. And the publication, you can subscribe to it. Again, you go to the website. But for those of you out there who heard me speak about the publication, if you have a product or goods or services that you know that can uplift our people one way or another, they can, you know, enhance their quality of life, we would love to talk to you, work with you. We can provide a page for you where you can tell your story, why you do the things you do, and how you can help us. You can promote yourself not only locally but internationally now. We are the type of people, and like I say, I never in my whole lifetime, and I've been around the block many times, where I met a group of people who actually works with this publication, collaborate with this publication. I never met a group of people that this is true unity from far down. That's the best thing I've seen since, you know, when they say unity. The people that really support one another, really care about one another. We come together on a podcast every Monday and every Tuesday. We have people that come on there, just meet each other and talk to each other, and then they doing this together and doing that together. Some of them really never even met each other physically. But I mean, you know, I had all type of things that happened, you know, health-wise in the last 5 years. Man, I ain't never received this much love in my lifetime, man. You know, from the people in this publication, man. They pray for you, man. They support you. They make sure you didn't want for anything. All over this country.
Amazing.
And so, you know, they're just not talking about it, they demonstrating it. Amazing. And if you have that type of spirit within you, and you want to share this with the world, then you need to give me a call. Let's talk. Let's reason together. See how we can help one another.
Absolutely. Reach Brother David, 443-544-2373. That number again is 443-455-2373. or you can reach out to them at tnbun.com. Brother David, I want to thank you for your newspaper. I want to thank you for your wisdom, and thank you again for joining us today. And we would definitely love to have you to come back, man, and give us an update on some of the features and some of the things that are happening with the newspaper.
I would be more, it would be my honor. So,
Okay.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. So we'll be in touch, okay?
All right, take care. God.
All right.